Austria, a land of imperial palaces, soaring Alps, and elegant traditions. But beneath the surface, Austria surprises, where ancient customs walk the streets and the unexpected is everywhere. Join me as we uncover the wild truths and hidden stories that make Austria truly unique. Welcome to the heart of Europe. Expect the unexpected. Vienna is often called the world's most livable city. But what does that really mean? Clean streets, efficient transport, and beautiful parks are just the start. Here, life feels safe, relaxed, and deeply connected to nature. Maybe true livability is about harmony between people, city, and the world around us. In Austria, open-air hot springs are more than a luxury. They're a cherished social ritual. Bathing together in steaming pools, even as snow falls, is a tradition dating back to Roman times. Here, people of all ages gather, stripped of status, to relax, connect, and find warmth and community in the heart of winter. Austria conjures images of alpine meadows, elegant waltzes, and the iconic blonde beauty, an effortless blend of natural poise and understated grace. It's not just about looks, but a quiet confidence and authenticity that radiates from within. In Vienna's streets and cafes, beauty is felt in the unhurried pace and genuine charm of everyday life. Deep in the rolling hills of Upper Austria, there once existed a small hamlet, a collection of houses and farms that, for most of its history, was utterly unremarkable to the outside world. Its residents lived quiet lives, punctuated by the changing of the seasons and the familiar rhythms of rural existence. Yet this unassuming village possessed something that would, quite unexpectedly, catapult it to international fame, or perhaps notoriety. It was its name. A simple, four-letter word that, when read by an English speaker, carried a rather different, more provocative meaning. A meaning that proved to be, for some, irresistibly tempting. The name of the village was fucking. And for years its official sign, a standard white rectangle with black lettering, became the most stolen piece of public property in the country, possibly in all of Europe. It's a bizarre phenomenon when you stop to think about it. A steady stream of tourists, mostly young men it has to be said, would make a pilgrimage to this quiet corner of the world, not for its scenery, but for the thrill of being photographed next to the sign, and for the even greater thrill of trying to steal it. It became a kind of trophy, a prank elevated to the level of a quest. The local authorities found themselves in a peculiar and unending battle. They tried everything. They embedded the signs in concrete, welded them to steel posts, and even resorted to surveillance. But the allure of the name was too strong. The signs would vanish, time and time again, turning up in student dormitories and man caves across the globe. The village mayor at the time spoke with a weary resignation, explaining the constant expense and hassle. It was a joke that had long since stopped being funny for the people who actually had to live with its consequences, their home reduced to a punchline. Eventually, after years of this relentless low-grade theft and unwanted attention, the residents decided they had had enough. In 2021, after a vote, the village was officially renamed. It is now called Fugging, a name that phonetically matches the local pronunciation but lacks the Anglo-Saxon double entendre. The pilfering has stopped. The tour buses no longer clog the narrow lanes. And while a piece of mischievous internet history has been lost, the residents of this small Austrian hamlet have, I suspect, finally regained something far more valuable, their peace and quiet. A very Austrian solution in its own way. As the summer months wane and a crispness returns to the alpine air, a rather extraordinary tradition unfolds across the Austrian countryside. It's an event that combines agricultural necessity with a level of pageantry one might associate with a royal procession. This is the ceremonial driving of the cattle down from their high-altitude summer pastures back to the valley farms for winter. And these are no ordinary cattle. These are the stars of the show, adorned with decorations so elaborate they verge on the theatrical. It's a spectacle that speaks volumes about a deep-seated respect for the land and the animals that sustain it. I'm told that the preparations can take weeks. The farmers and their families craft enormous ornate headdresses for their most prized cows. These aren't just a few flowers tucked behind an ear. We're talking about intricate constructions of evergreen branches, colorful ribbons, expertly carved wooden figures, and vast resonant bells that clang with each step, announcing the herd's return from miles away. The bells, known as, are themselves works of art, often passed down through generations. There's a palpable sense of pride in the air, a celebration not just of a successful grazing season but of a way of life. This isn't just for show though, the tradition is steeped in symbolism. A herd that returns fully decorated signifies that no animals were lost to accident or illness during their time in the mountains. If a farmer has suffered a loss, the cows will return unadorned in a quiet, somber procession. It's a public expression of both celebration and mourning, a communal acknowledgement of the precariousness of rural life. It's a cow parade, yes, but it's also a beauty contest, a Thanksgiving festival, and a community gathering all rolled into one noisy, colorful, and strangely moving event. This deep-rooted pride extends far beyond the pastures. It's visible in the work of craftsmen all over the country. Whether it's the intricate wood carvings sold in Tyrolean villages, the hand-blown glass of a city artisan, or the meticulous tailoring of a traditional outfit, there's a shared belief in doing things properly. It's a rejection of the disposable, a commitment to creating things of quality and lasting value. In a way, the farmer decorating his prize heifer and the master carpenter finishing a piece of furniture are expressing the same fundamental Austrian ideal, a profound and enduring pride in one's work. There's a curious transaction that takes place here, one that seems almost counterintuitive in our modern, profit-driven world. The Austrian government, in a rather forward-thinking move, will actually pay you to be environmentally conscious. It's not just a gentle nudge or a pat on the back, but a tangible financial reward for choosing an electric vehicle. I found myself wondering about the psychology of this. Does it genuinely foster a deeper sense of ecological responsibility, or is it simply a pragmatic choice for the wallet? It's a delicate balance, trying to encourage good behavior without making it feel like a purely transactional affair, a simple calculation of euros and cents. I spoke to a man named Klaus, who just bought a new electric car. He wasn't what you might call a hardcore environmentalist, but he was practical. He explained the subsidy, the tax breaks, the lower running costs. It all just made sense. The government's logic seems to be that if you make the right choice, the easy choice, people will naturally gravitate towards it. It's a fascinating social experiment playing out on the streets of Vienna and beyond. It's less about shaming people for their carbon footprint and more about extending a hand, offering a deal that's almost too good to refuse. It's a gentle, almost paternalistic push in the right direction. But then you have to consider the broader implications. Is this sustainable in the long run? What happens when the subsidies inevitably run out? Will the habit have been formed, the new normal established? The government is betting that it will. They're investing in a future where the hum of an electric motor is as common as the chime of a church bell. It's a quiet revolution, happening one car at a time. This isn't just about emissions, it's about reshaping the very idea of what it means to get from one place to another, in a country that values its pristine environment so deeply. And so, the roads here present a slightly different picture. Amongst the familiar petrol-powered vehicles, there's a growing fleet of silent, eco-friendly cars gliding through the historic streets. It's a strange juxtaposition, the ancient architecture and the futuristic technology. It speaks to Austria's ability to hold on to its past while simultaneously and rather cleverly, paying its citizens to drive into the future. It's a uniquely Austrian solution to a global problem, blending pragmatism with a quiet, understated idealism that I found rather compelling. It's not loud or preachy, just efficient. You arrive in Hallstatt and it feels familiar, almost unnervingly so. It's a place you feel you've seen before, even if you've never set foot in Austria. That's because in a way you have. This lakeside village with its timber-framed houses clinging precariously to the mountainside is widely believed to be the real-world inspiration for Arendelle, the kingdom from Disney's Frozen. It's an odd sort of fame, to be known not just for what you are, but for the cartoon dream you inspired. I watched the tourists, their faces lit with a kind of dawning recognition, as if they'd stepped through the screen and into the film itself. The connection is undeniable. The steep-roofed church, the serene lake reflecting the jagged peaks, the sheer storybook quality of it all. It's easy to imagine a Nordic queen with ice powers feeling perfectly at home here. But for the people who actually live in Hallstatt, this Disneyfication has created a strange duality. Their home is also a pilgrimage site for film fans from across the globe. I tried to picture what it must be like, to have your quiet, historic village transformed into a global selfie spot, a backdrop for someone else's fantasy. It's a peculiar kind of celebrity that the village never asked for. I walked through the narrow lanes trying to see past the cinematic veneer. There's a genuine, ancient history here, rooted in millennia of salt mining. The world's oldest salt mine is perched high above the village, a testament to a time long before animated blockbusters. Yet the two narratives are now inextricably linked. the village's own profound history and its new adopted identity as a Disney muse, it must be a constant negotiation for the locals, balancing the economic windfall of tourism with the preservation of their own authentic way of life. It's a very modern dilemma in a very old place. And so, Hallstatt exists in this liminal space between reality and fantasy. It's a place of breathtaking, almost surreal beauty, amplified by its association with a beloved fairy tale. But as I stood by the lake watching the swans glide by, I felt a slight sense of unease. It's the feeling that comes when something is almost too perfect, too polished. The magic is real, but it's a magic that is now packaged, marketed, and consumed on an industrial scale. The real trick, I suspect, is for the village to hold onto its soul amidst the endless stream of visitors searching for Arendelle. There's a certain rhythm to life in Vienna that feels, to an outsider, remarkably civilized. It's a city that seems to have been meticulously designed for human flourishing. Foreigners I spoke to, people who had moved here from bustling metropolises like London or New York, all use similar words: easy, calm, manageable. It's as if the city itself conspires to lower your blood pressure. The public transport is so punctual and efficient that owning a car feels almost like an unnecessary complication. Everything you need seems to be just a short tram ride or a pleasant walk away. It's a city built on a human scale. I found myself just observing the daily flow, people cycling along the Danube, stopping for a coffee without a sense of rush, enjoying the sprawling public parks. There's an underlying sense of trust and safety that permeates everything. Parents let their children travel to school on the subway alone, something that would be unthinkable in many other capital cities. This feeling of security isn't just a statistic in a quality of life report, it's a palpable atmosphere that shapes the interactions between people. It allows for a more relaxed, open, and less guarded way of being. This ease of living is no accident. It's the result of decades of thoughtful urban planning and social policy. High-quality, affordable housing, excellent public services, and a deep-seated cultural appreciation for leisure and the arts all contribute to this feeling. It's a city that values Lebensqualität, quality of life, not just as a buzzword but as a guiding principle. It's woven into the very fabric of the city's identity. The result is a place where the daily grind feels less like a grind and more like a gentle, predictable waltz. And so for the foreigner, Vienna offers a kind of soft landing. It's a major European capital that manages to feel like a collection of livable, distinct neighborhoods. You can immerse yourself in the grandeur of its imperial past one moment, and the next, be enjoying a quiet moment in a local market that feels a world away from the tourist trail. It's this blend of the monumental and the mundane, the grand and the gentle, that seems to make daily life here not just easy, but genuinely, profoundly enjoyable. It's a city that lets you breathe. In Vienna, coffee houses are sanctuaries from the rush of modern life, a place where time stretches and you're invited to linger. Order a single melange and you're welcome to stay for hours, undisturbed. Here, coffee is more than a drink, it's a ritual, a gentle rebellion against hurry. This is Gemütlichkeit, coziness, contentment, and unhurried peace, cultivated in every cup. In Vienna's coffee houses, you're not just a customer, you're a guest. Welcome to Simply Be. In Vienna, royal balls aren't just history, they're a living tradition. Grand ballrooms shimmer, guests in formal attire waltz beneath chandeliers, and debutantes are introduced in pure white. The waltz remains at the heart, uniting generations in a swirl of elegance and nostalgia. Here the past and present truly dance together. Austria's landscapes are so vibrant and surreal they seem digitally enhanced. From the emerald waters of Grüner See, which transforms from park to underwater world, to the thundering Krimmel waterfalls and the vast ice caves of Eisriesenwelt, nature here feels epic and otherworldly. It's a place that humbles you, leaving you in awe as if you've stepped into a living painting. Austria's festivals reveal a wilder, more primal side, where tradition collides with spectacle. In the Tyrol, Krampuslauf unleashes masked figures through snowy streets, blending chaos and folklore. From mountaintop bonfires to masked balls, these celebrations let Austrians step outside the everyday, showing a vibrant, eccentric spirit far beyond the country's postcard-perfect calm. There's an inherent absurdity, a sort of charming madness, to the idea of choosing to sleep in a structure made of frozen water, high in the Austrian Alps. The Kutai Igloo Dorf, or Igloo Village, is a testament to this very human impulse to seek out novelty, to push the boundaries of what constitutes a holiday. I arrived on a day when the sky was a piercing, unforgiving blue, and the snow crunched underfoot with an almost aggressive crispness. The village itself is a series of interconnected domes, sculpted from snow and ice, looking for all the world like a temporary settlement on a distant frozen planet. It's both beautiful and profoundly impractical. Inside, the air is still and surprisingly silent, insulated from the howling wind by the thick snow walls. The temperature hovers just around freezing, a fact your body is constantly, quietly reminding you of. The rooms are alcoves carved into the snow, each with a bed made of ice, covered with a thick mattress and then layers upon layers of expedition-grade sleeping bags. The proprietors assure me I'll be warm, but there's a part of my brain, the sensible reptilian part, that is quietly screaming in protest. It's a strange kind of luxury, one that requires a degree of stoicism and a suspension of one's natural survival instincts. The social hub of this frozen hamlet is naturally the ice bar. Here, guests wrapped in thermal gear sip cocktails from glasses carved from solid ice. It's a surreal social experiment. Strangers huddle together, their breath fogging in the frigid air, united by this shared, slightly bizarre experience. There's a nervous energy, a camaraderie born from mild discomfort. I found myself in conversation with a couple from Belgium who seemed to be treating the whole thing as a personal endurance challenge, their laughter echoing slightly too loudly in the icy chamber, perhaps to convince themselves they were having a good time. Later, as I lay cocooned in my sleeping bag, listening to the faint distant hum of a snow groomer on the slopes, I reflected on the appeal. It's not just about the novelty, it's about stripping away the usual comforts and finding a different kind of peace. It's about the feeling of being utterly at the mercy of the elements, yet safely ensconced within them. It's a manufactured adventure certainly, but one that leaves you with a very real sense of having done something memorable, something slightly foolish, and something quintessentially Austrian in its embrace of the extreme beauty of the Alpine world. In many cultures, the act of buying a house is seen as a fundamental rite of passage, the ultimate symbol of stability and success. It's the bedrock of the dream. So it's with some curiosity that one approaches the Austrian housing market, where this entire philosophy seems to be gently, politely turned on its head. Here, renting is not a temporary stopgap on the way to ownership. For a significant portion of the population, it is the destination itself. This isn't a sign of economic failure, but rather a deliberate and deeply ingrained societal choice, a different way of thinking about what it means to have a home. The system is underpinned by a robust legal framework that heavily favors the tenant, providing a level of security that is almost unimaginable in more market-driven countries. Leases are often indefinite, rent increases are strictly controlled, and the rights of the renter are fiercely protected. This creates a sense of permanence, without the financial albatross of a mortgage. I spoke to a family in Vienna, who had lived in the same rented apartment for over 20 years. They spoke of their landlord not as an adversary, but as a distant, rarely seen custodian of the building. Their home was their castle, even if they didn't technically own the bricks and mortar. This preference for renting has a profound effect on the fabric of cities like Vienna. It fosters a more mobile and flexible population, less tied to a single location by a massive financial investment. It also, perhaps, contributes to a different kind of social cohesion. When large swaths of the city are made up of long-term renters living in well-regulated social or cooperative housing, it can temper the kind of hyper-gentrification and neighborhood displacement that plagues other major European capitals. There's a sense that housing is viewed more as a public utility, a right rather than a commodity to be speculated upon. Of course, it's not a perfect utopia. There are still challenges in finding a place, and the bureaucracy can be formidable. Yet there's something compelling about a society that has collectively decided to prioritize stability and affordability over the precarious ladder of property ownership. It makes one question the deeply held assumptions we often carry about debt, assets, and what it truly means to be settled. In Austria, it seems, you don't need to own your home to feel at home, and that in itself is a rather liberating thought. Feeding birds in Austrian parks may seem like a harmless act of kindness, but here, it's actually forbidden. The reason? Bread is junk food for birds, leading to health problems and overpopulation, causing damage to Vienna's historic buildings. In Austria, caring for nature means respecting rules that protect both wildlife and the city's heritage. Sometimes kindness means not feeding the birds. In Vienna, a city of imperial grandeur and symmetry, the Hundertwasserhaus stands as a joyful rebellion. Its undulating floors, mosaic walls, and rooftop trees defy the tyranny of the straight line. Designed by Friedensreich Hundertwasser, it's a living, breathing organism, social housing that's anything but ordinary. In a city of tradition, it's a splash of color, a playful challenge to conformity, and a celebration of the wildly unconventional. In Austria, a sneeze is never ignored. Whether on a tram, in a cafe, or walking down the street, strangers will almost always wish you Gesundheit, health. It's a small, warm ritual rooted in old superstitions, now a daily gesture of kindness. This simple call and response connects people, reminding you that even among strangers, your well-being matters. In Austria, the heart of the country is found at the kitchen table. Food here is more than sustenance. It's a warm embrace, from golden Wiener Schnitzel to rich goulash and comforting Käsespätzle. And of course, the sweet finale, Apfelstrudel, dusted with sugar. Austrian cuisine is a tradition that warms the soul, connecting generations and inviting everyone to savor the moment. Austria's quality of life is legendary: clean streets, punctual trams, and a sense of order. But what does it really cost to live here? Everyday expenses and rent add up quickly, especially in Vienna's city center. Social housing offers relief, but choices matter: where you shop, where you live. When you factor in public services, safety, and beauty, Austria's price tag feels more like an investment in a remarkable way of life. In rural Austria, wedding processions are playfully stopped by villagers, a tradition called Wegsperre. Friends and neighbors block the road, and the couple must offer lucky money or schnapps to pass. It's a joyful ritual, weaving the couple into the community and wishing them luck on their journey together. Which of these wild truths about Austria surprised you the most? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you're into real, raw travel documentaries that go beyond the surface, hit that like, subscribe, and bell. New countries every week. No filters, just facts.